The second part of what's already been a damning report into alleged state-sponsored doping in Russia will be published this morning.
Well, the first part led to Russia being banned from some sports at the Rio Olympics and a total ban at the Paralympic Games. Paul Kelso reports.
Russia's sporting heroes have been celebrating their success. An Olympic ball in Moscow to toast their achievements at the Rio Games. They won more than 50 medals in Brazil. Not bad for a country that many believe should not have been there at all, after an investigation revealed that the Russian state engineered a huge doping cover-up at the Sochi Winter Olympics. Russia will face more questions today when Professor Richard McLaren delivers a second report into the scandal in London. It is expected to reveal the extent of cheating by individual athletes across winter and summer sports. But if the Russians are worried, they weren't showing it.
The main thing we discussed was the results of the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio and the preparations for the next Winter Olympics 2018 in Pyeongchang.
Russian officials have been in denial ever since former Moscow lab chief Grigory Rodchenkov revealed that he colluded with the sports ministry and the secret police in Sochi. Failed drugs tests were replaced with clean samples passed through a hole drilled in the wall of the official anti-doping laboratory. The revelation scandalised world sport on the eve of the Rio Games, and the World Anti-Doping Agency called for a total ban. But the International Olympic Committee let Russia compete. Its president Thomas Bach now says he is concerned about Russia, but there is little sign of change on the ground.
We continue to run a testing program in Russia in collaboration with RUSADA, our equivalents in Russia. And yes, there continue to be the same challenges that WADA have very publicly reported on in terms of access to closed cities and some obstruction of the work of the doping control personnel.
If McLaren's second report is as damning as his first, there will be calls for Russia to be banned from the next Olympics in South Korea. But few in the anti-doping movement believe sport has the stomach for a fight with Moscow. Paul Kelso, Sky News.
Right, well, let's talk to Nick Powell, who's our sports editor. He's here to chat to us about this report. So what can we expect when it comes out later today?
We'll see much more detail than we did from the first report, which was itself jaw-dropping. I think the jaws are going to crash to the floor today. It was brought out in a bit of a hurry to be before the Olympics, so there could be action taken before the Olympics. So you're then watching to see what the reaction is. I don't just mean people saying, oh my goodness, it's awful. I mean sports bodies doing something about it. In the end, most Russian competitors did take part in the Rio Olympics, though not in the Paralympics, as Paul said. I think we will see a lot of stuff, pretty nasty stuff about what happened to the Winter Olympics in particular. Paul mentioned that the last games were held in Sochi in Russia. The next games, as Paul said, are going to be in South Korea in 2018. But before that, in February of next year, you've got the World Bobsleigh Championships, which are taking place in Sochi, of all places, where all these abuses were alleged to have happened, and clearly in some cases did happen last time. And Britain's our only reigning Olympic champion in winter sport, Lizzie Young, has already said she's not happy about competing there. She may not go, our big medal chance may not go, because she doesn't want to compete against people who she thinks are not clean and doesn't want to compete in a tainted venue like that. And watch also for any mention either in the report or in the news conference, which will bring you live, or in the margins of action against other countries, because the chief investigator for WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, tells The Guardian today he is looking out already for where they can put their sights next. It's not just Russia.
OK, Nick, thanks a lot.